Howard. A superhero is an iconic and stock character built upon the idea of maintaining peace within a group of people or event. You were once dubbed as the superhero, the #1 IT superhero by InfoWorld and Computer World with your work with Dell. What was your reaction to receiving such a prestigious nickname for doing the job that you were being paid to do?
Pretty wonderful, actually. I didn't have much of a heads up that I would get that honor, so it actually only happened maybe 3-4 months ago. And the journalist actually did call me, but I don't even remember that he said he was from InfoWorld. A lot of journalists call because of the book hit bestseller list and the technology that's in there. So I assumed that's what he was calling about. And when he sent me an email, I was like, hey, check this out. And, my jaw just dropped. I was like, InfoWorld? Like, that's the Wall Street Journal of the IT world. Like, that's huge. Like, that's going on my resume. This is going on my refrigerator. This is greatness. So to answer your question, I felt great. And you said, how did I feel doing the job I was paid to do? So consultant is an ambiguous field. So what I actually do is solve problems for the nation's top organizations: Department of Defense, Department of Justice, Google, Ask.com, a lot of major banks, et cetera, Army, all that. So there's different ways to go about doing that, right? You can go about the salesy way, right, to maximize revenue and commission checks for whoever, or you could solve your customers' problems. And I think that's why I got chosen and why I got nominated. Because I do what I do, and I do it in a way where, right, I'm not looking to bring in whatever vendor is going to give me financial incentive. I'm going to solve their problem, period. So if there's a supercomputer involved that I need to design, I'm not going to bring in products that they don't need just because there's outside reasons to do so. I'm going to solve that problem. I'm going to do it as economically as possible. I'm going to guarantee that it works. I'm going to make Dell look good and then build my own brand. So I felt that it was kind of being recognized because every consultant doesn't do that, right? Some consultants, they build out statements of work where they're on site for a year, making billable hours for a year, right? I've never, ever done that. I've never done that. My job is to make it so here is your solution. You don't need me on site for a year because it's going to work. And if there's a problem, there's a support contract where we'll send someone out there, but no one has to be on site. So I felt that was more of being recognized for doing a job differently and then doing it well consistently rather than, hey, I got recognized for something I already do. But you do your research well, and I was pretty amazed. Computer World and InfoWorld is pretty big.
Yeah. Mr. Howard, being that the business market is so competitive, big mega firms such as IBM, et cetera, have been offering almost a one-stop shop opportunities within their firms, providing diversification, technological advances, and consulting. In your firm, what have you done to maintain your success in consulting?
Really, it's two major things that I've done, and you're exactly right. The top firms, they don't want to go to NetApp for storage, and then Cisco for networking, and then this other person for servers, and then this other person for these widgets over here, and then VMware for the software, right? They want to be able to talk to someone who could speak to all these different parts and architect a solution, right? So whether I'm working at IBM or whoever, or at Dell, I can do exactly what you just defined. I think that's a huge differentiator. So some folks are storage specialists, some folks are server specialists, some folks are software specialists. But as a wholly rounded consultant, I can really go waist deep into all those topics enough for design. And then if I don't know the answer to something like a licensing schematic for software, right, all I have to do is pick up the phone and do that. So being able to provide a one-stop shop for whatever they need, whether it's a storage project, servers project, virtualization project, data center consolidation, I can provide that. That's very key. Number two, which is one of the things I'm going to talk about today in Forum, which is building a brand. That is just critical. What I mean by that is building your legacy and defining who you are. So not just the work you do, but collectively, what have you contributed to your industry? or your organization to change the dynamics, right? What have you offered? What are your consistent key differentiators? So why would the Department of Defense trust me to architect whatever it is I'm architecting? Well, simply they can Google me and they see the case studies that Dell has published on my work. They can see my work teaming with NASA and Google, putting satellites in the sky for what's now called Google Earth. These other published case studies with top firms, they can say, okay, I can trust this guy, right? And it always didn't start out that way, but you have to build your brand and continuously build your credibility. Like, that is more key, and that follows you wherever you go. So even as you're in college now, you can start building your brand and building your legacy. So by the time you're an old man like me, 34 years old, you know, you'll have surpassed where I am because you've been building your achievements since college. So for instance, you know, whatever your favorite magazine is, imagine if you were not reading that magazine, you were writing articles for that magazine. So when people Googled your name, they come across articles and you've been cited. So when your clients, for whether it's finance or marketing, see you and they Google you, all these credible sources will come up. Okay, I can trust that person because she was in XYZ, you know, A, B, and C. So that's been more than critical in building a brand and being a successful consultant.
Mr. Howard, your past is riddled with awards and accolades for your work within the information technology field. You have also spent a lot of time and done a lot of diligent work within the Department of Defense. How has your experience with the latter influenced you in writing 2 best-selling books, The Invisible Enemy 1 and 2?
Outstanding question. I don't think they would have been bestsellers if I didn't have the background that I did have. One of the things that makes them unique is people read the back of the book. Fiction in general is hard to sell. Most fiction books fail, period. Because I linked the story with what's going on in the world and real technology that I deal with. So the weapon systems in there are real. Mm-hmm. The secret, once classified government agencies that you've never heard of in there are real, right? What's going on in there is real. The enemies in there are real. So I inserted characters to make the story more compelling, right? There's a lot more action to make the story more compelling, but it's a lot of nonfiction in there. The story itself is fiction, but it's a lot of nonfiction. And my background in the Department of Defense, working on these projects, helped me talk to the target audience using the correct terms. There's also a lot of research done with counterintelligence to create the book. And that is what I think made the book differentiate. And I got kind of lucky, as Omar was talking about during Forum Day, you have to position yourself to get lucky. I got lucky with the 2 months after the book launched, the FBI caught a ring of spies doing exactly what I wrote about in the book, and it looked like I knew about it and I predicted it, right? So the book took off, right? And coincidentally, one of the characters' names were the same, the encryption protocols were the same, and one of the characters was a striking physical resemblance. So that's why the book took off, because I was able to connect it with what's going on and make it relevant.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for you 2 gentlemen today. I'd like to thank you both for your wonderful insights on entrepreneurship as well as career aspirations.
Most welcome. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Our panelists today have been Chelsea Beneby.
Once again, thank you both for sharing your expertise with us.
Sheree Thomas.
Thank you, and welcome back to the Hill.
Thank you very much, ladies.
I wanted to thank you again, John. Once again, I am Alan Small, and I have served as your moderator today for another edition of Today's Leaders Face Tomorrow's. Thank you.